we are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome to Meanwhile Back at the Lab with Paximus. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, I'm really happy and really glad that you're able to either catch this live or to see this in living color later on in the replay. So, I'm really excited for the time that we're going to spend with our special guests today. They're Ada and Nacho from Italy, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with them. I've actually been looking forward to this for a long time for some reason. I don't know. It feels like it's been forever because they just, I love them. I love them. They seem like such a wonderful couple, and just, they're so cool. So I'm really excited to get to know them a little bit, and I really hope that you'll be able to kind of tune in for our special podcast. And we're going to go ahead and get into our conversation right now with none other than Nacho and Ada. Hey, everybody. Guys, thanks so much for being here. And Nacho and Ada, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you guys. Oh,
thank you, Paximus, for inviting us.
That's my fault.
It's a pleasure.
There we go. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Now, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can
perfectly.
hear you.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so it's good to see you guys.
Thank you for receiving us and for the lovely introduction, I have to say.
Well, like I said, I really think that you guys are just wonderful people. I've only had small interactions with you on your live stream, but so for those who are listening to us right now, or maybe they're going to catch this later on in the replay, could you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you, or what it is you do, and also how you got to know each other? I'd love to kind of hear that story as well.
Okay, you gonna start?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are here in Italy studying, doing our master's degree, I'm studying I studied industrial engineering in Argentina, and I'm doing my master's degree in management. Adina is doing.
Oh, okay, and I studied chemical engineering. In Argentina we have 5 full years, so it's not a bachelor plus a master, but a whole package.
Mhm.
And then I came here and I am doing master on energy and environmental issues.
Wow.
Always in chemical engineering.
Right.
And since we had this project of coming to Italy, we were like picturing our Instagram account, our YouTube channel. So we really wanted to share our experience and our journey on how to get in here to South American students in order to encourage them to do the same thing. Not only encourage, but
but also give them maybe some tips or advices or tools that we find very useful that helped us to live this journey, and that sometimes it's I don't know, the things we learn here and we see that we would like to share with the students in Latin America. So we share that part also of the student life, how I don't know, how to progress and to do the best you can in the university life. So
yeah, and I'm kind of curious. I mean, maybe this is just me, but how did you guys get to know each other, and how did that, like, you know, because you guys, so both of you are originally from Argentina, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. That's
and then
correct.
That's how you went
I
to
know
Italy.
Exactly. I know the answer. Can I answer this one?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. We have been together like for 10 years almost. I've been practicing Taekwondo since I was 9 years old. And a friend of mine introduced me to Nacho when I was about to start the university. I had to give some exams in order to get to the engineering university. I was still at school, and Nacho was in second year.
I started in second year, and her friend was preparing an exam with me. We were preparing an exam together. So he talked about presenting me Ada, and you can continue.
Yeah. He asked me if I was okay about the introduction, and I say okay, yes. And we met, and then we saw each other, and our souls recognized. And since then we are together.
I love that. That's so good.
Something very funny would say. It's we met, for example, a Wednesday night, and on Thursday night, the other day, I was already at her house saying hello to all the family, parents and brothers, and it was like
I invited him to have tea and also to a cinema debate. Do you remember that? Yeah, to watch a movie, and then I was organizing this kind of event, and I invited him. He accepted, and then everything started.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love hearing stories like that. That's so cool. So in the process of getting to know each other and then making your way to Italy to kind of go on this new adventure, really, and both of you are in the master's program, could you tell me a little bit about the process for you in getting into a master's program? Because in the United States, I think it looks different. And so I could be wrong, but I'd love to hear kind of the way that you got into a master's program. Did you have to take multiple exams in order to get into a master's program, or was it acceptance because of your BA degree? What was the process like?
Actually, our university has like
an
agreement with the university of this university in Italy, of University of Salerno, and we knew about this agreement, and we tried it several times. It wasn't something easy to achieve for us. It took like 3 years to be accepted into this agreement. Yeah, and it was quite a journey.
Yeah.
we succeeded. So the first thing I would say to the students that are hearing this is to always keep going without any doubt. And if you want something, you can get it. So you just have to keep trying, and that's it. And well, what this agreement asked us to have, in particular, it wasn't many exam. It was like a particularly progress of our career in Argentina. We didn't have to be graduated, but we had to have almost every exam passed.
Everything except 2 subjects, because the idea is to come here not graduated yet. And as I was telling before, it's not a bachelor, but it's in Argentina we did a bachelor plus a master. So this would be like a second master to us.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are not getting our degree in Argentina until we finish this one. So we are going to get 2 titles, 2 different degrees, but when we finish this one. So it's like a long process. It's like a bet or gambling.
But then it's a 2-for-1. Yeah, it's a 2-in-1.
Right.
Degrees.
And I think
Degree,
so I'm in a similar situation. So I have a master's degree. Theoretically, it's all set in stone. I have a master's in education, but it's because I went into education and I'm trying to get a credential in English. It's tied together. So you have one, but without the other, it's not fully complete. Does that make sense? And
Of course.
I think I can completely relate to that process, with you guys, because it's a long process, especially having to wait for 3 years, like, to get accepted. Oh my gosh, like, I mean,
we in the middle we studied a personal project with a 3D printer.
Project with 3D printings, and we start selling 3D printings, and it was more like not selling
toys, but
solving problems to people. So people came and say, okay, I have to grab this thing into, or for companies also.
Yeah,
they
we
say
even work with companies.
Yeah, we have these tubes and we need to fix them into the wall, for example. So we designed particularly pieces. So
also valves and things like that. It was super fun. So that was the last year before coming here, and that also allowed us to save money for this process, because I mean, the scholarship, I mean, you always this has a scholarship. We have many things included, but you always need more money. So it was really helpful to us in that sense. Also, we are more grown up, and I think that was very important. And I also had the opportunity to work in an enterprise in my field as a chemical engineer, so that was awesome as well. So I think if you have to wait for something, but that's meant to be, maybe the life is just preparing you to arrive in a better condition to the experience.
Yeah, actually, we thought about this extra time that we have to prepare ourselves to come here, and we used that time to work, to save money, to learn more the language, for example. So it can be frustrating sometimes, because sometimes you want something that year, or I don't know, but if things doesn't go how you plan it, you can always use the time you have and to make the most of it. So
I love your advice that you're giving out, Nacho. Like how you're saying, if something gets in your way, just simply keep going. Don't let it stop you. And Ada, I love also how you're saying, like, you know what? Sometimes it takes a process in order for you. Like maybe the wait is important, because you're able to accomplish certain things within that time frame. Same thing that you're saying, Nacho. You're able to accomplish a lot within that time frame, so that by the time you are actually ready, in fact, the process seems like, oh, that was actually helpful towards my journey to get here. So I really appreciate that mindset that you both have, and I think a lot of students perhaps don't have that mindset because they want things done right away, right? They
Mm,
want it done right away, and they're like, why
mm,
couldn't I get accepted to university? Why couldn't I get accepted to the best, fraternity or whatever that may be? And it's a process, and I think both of what you're both saying is really important to understand, and it is frustrating. I think all three of us can
yeah.
agree it's so frustrating when things don't go according to plan. But it does build character, and it's a good way for growth. And I love that
Yeah.
that's your message.
Yeah.
It's your message. That you're,
Also,
yeah.
about talking about timing,
Mm,
when you're a student, you have the misconception about
mhm,
graduating very young, that you have to make the most of your years or young years, and that time is very important, and age also.
mhm,
And the more we go this path and the more we know, uh, age is not that important.
mhm,
So I got lots of frustrations and bad moments because
mm,
having those kind of thoughts of maybe I'm getting old, or I
mhm.
should have passed this test. I'm leaving and being behind them, or being I don't know, being late
Right.
for my life, or I don't know.
Mhm,
And I think it's quite easy or a common mistake
mhm.
in between students.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's at the end you realize your age is not that important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's important if you did some things and you learn things in
Mhm.
your years,
Oh yeah.
of course, but the age, the number of how many years of life you have, it's not that important. So uh,
Absolutely. I would agree 100%. And I think, exactly the idea you're talking about is comparing, like you're comparing
yeah.
yourself
Mm.
to others' journey. I did that one too many times, I did that with
Yeah.
so many friends of mine who went off to university and graduated like in 3 years. And I was like, I
Mm.
haven't, I
Mm.
haven't even completed year one. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I'm starting to get older. So Nacho, I relate a lot to your story, or at least your explanation, because I was 30 years old when I finally got my BA, and it took forever though
Mm.
because unfortunately I made too many mistakes trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do, and I think along the
Yeah.
process I was getting frustrated because nothing was working, and I was like, well, maybe I should go back to school. so so I did that, but I think there's a term that one of my friends, he's a teacher, and he uses the
Mhm.
term trust the process. um
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
this doesn't always apply, I think, but in most cases when it comes to academics, I would like to say that yes, there is a process. Trust the process. Sometimes it takes a while. It takes a while to get to where you need to
Yeah.
get. And age should not matter. You can be 75, 85 years old and still go to school. um so i
Mhm.
do i
Exactly.
do want to talk about your channel in particular, because it's so different. It has variety, it has a lot of interest, but there is one particular thing that you do on your channel, which is the Study With Me channel, or part of your channel. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approach studying, and did anyone ever teach you how to study? Is that something that you had to learn on your own?
What about you?
Well, in my particular case, I learned by myself, I have to say. I learned lots of things also because of Ada. She helped me a lot with my uh, career as a student.
Mm,
Uh, I was never, a very good student,
mm,
but I was very
Dedicate.
dedicated, and I studied a lot. And I have to say that my academics, it's not my my
Strength.
my strength. Yeah, but yeah, I learned from my friends, from Ada particularly, and I don't know you.
Well, in my case, my mom taught me a lot on how to think, how to approach things. At school, I must say that I would have prefer more. I mean, we could learn more at school how to learn. That should be a subject, of course, and it is not, unfortunately.
Right.
The same thing in the university, but it is not a subject. It should be.
It should be.
I've
Yeah.
also read, yeah, I've also read many books on the subject. I mean, not many, but a couple of them. And what else? I'm the best student in my first at school, then in the university, because in both cases I was very close to the best student, and I was always like paying attention on their about how they approach the subject, the study and everything, and to start learning how to study. And yeah, I think once you, I mean, if you don't start from the beginning, like learning properly, you are going to pick bad habits. Then it's very difficult to get rid of those bad habits, but you can do that. And I think here in Italy, we had the possibility to see and contrast our way of studying with the way of studying they study here at the university. And I think we also had the opportunity to pick more techniques. And
yeah, also I have to say it's important for students to know which are their weaknesses and strengths. For example, my weakness, it's memory. I cannot learn things by heart, so I have to really understand things. And well, when I go to an exam, for example, I explain the things I know, but I don't say it by heart. I always say it differently.
Right.
I try to use technical words because we are in engineering, so it's I cannot talk like a friend, but I didn't say things by heart. So I would say to students to know really what they know, what they find easier, for example, and well, and practice that and make their own little system of studying around their strengths and not what they see only. So
and to be curious and always question themselves, because here, for example, I realized that if I had used more technical words during my career, my grades at the university, because at school I did great, but in the university I could have done better. I think not better, but excellent. I did great at the university, but I think I could have excel. And here I am using more technical words because I mean, as it is a new, it's not my mother language. It's the same kind of learning, not a technical word or a technical word. So I just learned the technical word and I use them in the exams, and I realize how important it is using technical words in the exam and how much the teachers and the professors like that. And well, I should have done that before because it's a small thing, but it helps a lot. So
being precise.
That's what I mean by staying curious and always questioning ourselves, because if we just, I don't know, feel comfortable, we don't improve.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm kind of curious to know the methods. And actually, before I get into that, I want to just say you're the first that I've actually had a conversation with about bringing the study with me type of idea or learning how to study in the classroom, especially at the university level, because I don't think that's actually a real course. And if it is, it's not used as much as it should be. And people don't know how to study. I'm very much like in the way that you explained, Nacho. I'm the same way. I didn't learn. I learned bad habits. What you said, Ada. I learned really bad habits, and I think that's what discouraged me. To be honest, it discouraged me
Mm-hmm.
early in my collegiate career because I was like, well, I'm not getting
Yeah.
good grades. I'm not. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either. So, um, bright is not my favorite color, like I'm not
Yeah.
exactly the best when it comes to academics. So I relate to that part of your story. But I also have to say that there has to be some sort of desire to want to learn and to be a
Yes.
lifelong learner, right? And Ada, I love what you said also about wonder. I use the same word. Like I live in Southern California, and I've said this before, so I apologize for anybody who may be hearing this again and again. But um, I live in California, and Disneyland is here. So when Disneyland was open, I would go to Disneyland. I go because I have a pass to go, right? So I go quite frequently. But the first time I went to Disneyland, I didn't say like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on this ride. I'm gonna go on this ride. I'm gonna go on this ride. I'm gonna eat this food at this place." I just stood there as a 7-year-old
Mm-hmm.
kid for the very first time, looking at the wonder of Disneyland
Yeah.
and just kind of being in awe of it. And I thought that's the same approach that students should probably take with learning. If they take that approach of, wow, this is new information, this is really helpful to and something that could benefit me in the long run. Um, I really hope
Of
that
course.
study skills would teach something like that. So I
Mm.
thought I would mention that because I relate a lot to what you guys are saying. So thank you so much for giving that advice and that imparting that wisdom with us. So I want to talk about your approach to studying because one of the biggest, being a study with me channel as well as part of, what other things you do on your channel, like learning the language, going to Italy and things like that. In your study with me series, what is your approach? And I'm sure you get the question a lot. The question being, how many hours do you study? And why do you study that many hours? I think that's the most typical question. And I'd love to hear
Mm-hmm.
what your approach is to studying and why you study for a certain amount of hours.
Well, we are using Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
We think that having like a time to study and a time to rest is very
Mm,
important, because you can get, I don't know, you receive a message and then you don't look to time, and you don't realize that you have been messaging your friends for, I don't know, an hour, and you lost track of time.
right.
So I think Pomodoro, I would say it's the easiest way to keep track of your study hours,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the most practical and easy tool. So I would suggest students to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And
How many hours?
yeah, we studied generally
I think
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours a day. It's
Yeah.
not that much. But if you really use those hours to study and concentrate,
Mm-hmm.
it's more than enough. We always say this is our moment to study, so let's use these hours to concentrate and to learn as much as we can. And
We use the study with me as a commitment,
yeah,
and accountability with the ones that are joining us. I also have specific friends that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in real life, that
Mhm.
are in are connected
Mm-hmm.
to the study with me, and we are studying together. Karelia, you might have seen her,
Oh
and
yeah, I
there
think I
are
saw
other girls as
her
well.
on your live stream a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we study together, and when we feel like sometimes we are not even studying the same subject, but if we are not being mentally strong, we do this as an accountability. So that's our approach with Pomodoro technique, which more than a technique, I think it's a way of organizing or of tracking studying. It's not a technique on itself. And about techniques, I think it depends on the subject you are studying for. There are subjects that you need more to memorize more things. There might be many more names to memorize or processes or whatever. And sometimes I don't know, I'm imagining particular subjects. For example, I had a subject where I had to describe tones of industrial processes, and it's not just memory, but you have to understand the process and to memorize and picture the layout and everything. So it's, in that case, it's not going to be the same technique as, for example, the subject I am studying right now, which is transport phenomena, which has a lot of maths, and you really have to be into the maths, but not much to memorize. So I think the technique is going to depend on the subject.
Yeah, it's more theoretical or more practical subject. So yeah.
And on, as Nacho said before, your weakness and your strengths. So, for example, in my case, something that is very important to me is to recall. So what I try to do, and for example, in my case, engineering to me is very difficult, whereas for Nacho is more natural. So I really tried, after reading a topic, to explain it with my own words. That works really well for me. I think Nacho doesn't need to do that, but I do need that. And then, recall. Those are my favorite techniques, to explain myself after reading a topic, and to do frequent recalls with things I am not strong at. And now I am improving with, I am using my memory in technical words, not wasting the memory in things I can understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think I definitely vibe with that same mindset of recall, which is really difficult because, like what Nacho said earlier, I have a terrible memory. It's really bad. It's really bad. So in that, it's learning concepts, right? You're learning the concepts, and you're trying to digest that so that when you do take an exam, when you do prepare for a master thesis, it's easier to understand the concept and then write about it or talk about it if it's an oral exam. So I personally adhere to 6-hour live streams for the most part, very much like you guys. And then also I do active recall. And I think the reason why I do that is because for me, it really helps to learn those concepts. I would love to tell you that I'm one of those live streamers, and this is not to offend anybody, but I'm not one of those live streamers who can write and write and write. Well, first of all, I have carpal tunnel in both hands, so like it hurts, But to
my face,
yeah, it's like this. But to do like writing and I do think that there is a learning technique behind that, is to actively recall and then write what you're learning. But for me personally, I just spend time digesting what I'm reading, and I try not to reread the same page over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of students get stuck, because they could be doing a 60-minute Pomodoro, right? But they're just like looking at the same page for 60 minutes and not progressing. So what would you say to someone who maybe perhaps gets stuck like that and is dealing with, maybe they're doing exactly what you're talking about, the Pomodoro, for let's say 60 minutes or 50 minutes, whichever they prefer. But what would you say for them to get out of that? How do they get out of looking at the same page, perhaps for like, a good 60 or 50 minutes? How do they get out of that?
Well, I can share my approach.
Mhm.
I find very hard to study. I don't like to study,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy learning.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference that students must know. It's not the same study than learning. I don't know how many people like studying just for study. I think there are a lot of people that likes learning new things. That's why they can stay so many hours
Right.
studying.
Mhm.
And the first thing I try to do is
Mhm.
to make it as most I mean the most fun activity I can.
Mhm.
For example, I love things that are really beautiful. How you say?
Okay, yeah.
My
Handwriting and
yeah,
your notes.
my notes. I like very tidy
Clean.
notes, for example.
Mhm.
Clean. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
the first thing I do is to read the subject, to read what I will have to learn,
Mhm.
like very fast reading, just to know.
Can I say something
Yeah.
about that? Our approach in that sense is we really like to organize. I mean, it's very important for us to be organized because we love doing other things as well apart from studying. I mean, sports and stuff.
Yeah.
So the first thing we would do is to gather material about the subject. So ask our friends friends that have already done the exam, how was the exam, what they were asked, and things like that. So that would be the first thing. And the second thing, we would ask someone how much time it took to prepare the whole subject, so we can organize and say, okay, this is going to take us, I don't know, 17 days, 6 hours per day, and then we read the subject.
Yeah, we read the subject to know like a general structure of the subject.
With speed reading, like maybe if it's a too long subject, we will take maximum 2 days in reading everything. At the beginning, you are not going to understand the first 1, 2, maybe 3 pages, but then your brain is going to follow you.
Yeah.
So push yourself and say, okay, I'm going in these 6 hours to read 150 pages, and the next day the 150 pages. You don't have to understand everything, of course, but it's
Right.
important to know from the beginning to the end the whole subject. So
Yeah, and in my case, I like to write things down. So I do my papers, and I have my notes, personal notes, and so I always did my personal notes on every subject, and
like a summary.
like a summary, yeah. And that was my way of moving forward to enjoying that moment, to enjoy doing this summary, taking my notes, and I think that this is one of the things helped me the most to make the activity something fun and to enjoy that moment, because if you're not having fun, you will not learn. It will be very hard for you to be sitting like 6 hours a day, 8 or
And
10.
if you don't understand and you are like reading and reading and reading the same page again, maybe you can just stand up and do something else for a while, and then come back. Maybe start from an easy topic, from something that you already understand. You can trick your mind, your brain, in order to make your brain do what you need him to do. So maybe change topic, start with something easier. Another advice I would give is don't leave the most difficult topic to the end, but don't start with the most difficult topic. So maybe start with something medium, then go to the most difficult, and then the easy one. I mean, you have to know yourself in that sense. Maybe you prefer starting from the easiest, then move to the most difficult, and then a medium one, things like that.
Yeah.
And in the end, for me, it's very important to know if the exam is going to be written or oral, an oral examination, and
Big difference.
Big difference, and leave 2 days to simulate the exam with a friend. For example, with my friend Karelia, what we do is we make a call, meeting call, And we have all the topics in papers, and we expose the topic if it's an oral examination. Otherwise, we write them as if we were in the exam. So that gives you an extra pressure, and you actually picture yourself in the moment. You push yourself to speak with technical words and things like that. So that would be the whole package, I guess.
Yeah. And also you realize where are the things that you lack, for example, the little details that maybe you have to rehearse. And well, that's the way you can do it, having your own exams at home.
Yeah.
So also when you have the real exam, it's not something new, it's something you already did several times at home. So you're not in unknown lands. It's like, okay, I already did it several times, so it's
you
also,
go with confidence. It's important. I mean, you have to know that you're not going to know everything at the exam. You have to go with the trust and the confidence that you don't know everything, but you know enough to pass the exam. And something I also like to do, it's a little bit weird, but I go to the washroom and I how do you say it? I expand my chest, and I feel like bigger and stronger, like not like shy and this. So I stay a little bit in the washroom for a while, like this.
That's
and
awesome.
Then when I am sitting, waiting, I breathe in and out, and in order to calm down my breathing, I don't want to be anxious.
Yes.
So.
Okay, I have to say that all your tips, by the way, are wonderful. They're really, I mean, well thought out. You're talking about simulating a kind of like an actual testing area where you're going to have perhaps the same environment, same distractions, do a mock test, if you will, and take that approach of trying to get all the, the work that you need to get done, and put yourself in an environment where you're going to succeed. You're going to actually do well.
Exactly.
And I love, Ada, that you're talking about a breathing technique, because really that's what you're doing. You're allowing air to flow up to your brain to give your brain a little bit of breathing room, literally. So a lot of students, and maybe you guys can talk a little bit about this and your experiences, but a lot of students, including myself, deal with anxiety, like really bad anxiety sometimes. Some students, they get to the point where they get sick physically. They get super, super ill. I know for me, I use a grounding technique for being able to just be in the moment and not, get so panicked about things that I can't control. But when I'm taking a test, I think it's important that before and during that you do a thing that is called 4 square breathing, and it's just for 4 seconds. You breathe in, hold it, breathe out, and then you repeat the cycle. You just kind of keep going. And Ada, I think that's exactly what you're talking about, is you kind of have to like slow your breathing down because you're so stressed. You have so much on your mind that you're just trying to wrap your mind around. What would be kind of both of you, what would be your advice for someone who deals with anxiety and who deals with, test taking anxiety? Like and I like I said, I think that's already one of your techniques. Do you have any other techniques that you use to prepare for an exam?
Well, I think I had several moments where I felt very anxious before an exam. Along the way, I learned that for me, the thing that works the most is it's not, it's knowing that I know how to explain something. So, for example, I try always to not to memorize, but to also understand things. So I say, okay, if I don't remember the exact words, at least I can explain myself. I can talk with the professor and say, okay, excuse me, I don't know the exact word, I don't remember because maybe I'm nervous, but I can explain what is happening and how the machine works, for example. So that calms me very a lot, because at least you know that you can you know the answer, you can expose the topic. So I think that's a very that worked for me to at least try to calm myself without thought, to know, okay, you know how to explain at least the things.
I think something that also might help students that feel a lot of anxiety before an exam could be studying with questions, a lot of questions, instead of memorizing or exposing a topic from the title, for example, but questions, because in the exam you're going to receive a question, and you are like, during your whole process of studying for a subject or for an exam, you're getting used to answering questions, and you put your brain, your mind in that in that mindset to answer questions.
Right.
And also I think it's very important, if you generally feel anxious before an exam, to maybe extend a little bit more this period of exposing the topic to a friend, to yourself in the mirror, maybe first to yourself in the mirror. Maybe you can put a camera and film yourself talking and see how you deal with it.
Yeah.
But practice make how is the saying?
Oh, practice makes perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
or you master it by practicing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I think the idea of wanting to make it perfect is a big no, if to deal with anxiety, because it doesn't have to be perfect. You have to go to the exam knowing also, as we have been discussing, that you know enough, and you don't know everything, and you are comfortable with not knowing everything. So I think questions, exposing yourself before the exam, putting yourself in that situation is going to help.
Yeah, I have a few things to add. This may sound a little cheesy, maybe, but we as students, we are not numbers, so our grades don't define us. So it's just a number. It's how you did the test, and that's it. And the second thing I would like to say is to see the evaluators or the teachers who are going to give us the exam, to look at them not as they are going to judge us. They are just making us some questions so we can know if we know if we studied well or not. It's just they are going to make us some questions, and that's it. And it's not something, they are not judging us. They don't define anything on us. It's like just
a person that knows which questions ask you to see if you understand the topic or not.
That's it.
And that doesn't define you. It's
no, I would agree. I think a lot of students, they have this this is an assumption and an opinion. I think that they're perhaps you might have a different opinion, but for me personally, being an educator, when I see my students come into the room, I think, how can I best challenge them? And sometimes I don't even use the word challenge because adults use that. So I say, how can I dare my middle school students to do something that they would never do, And one of those things that I love to see is how I challenge them or dare them to approach studying or to approach a subject with, like what we talked about, kind of a sense of wonder. Like, I've never known this before. I'm hungry for learning. I want to approach that from that perspective. But I want to also say that I think both of you have very sound advice, very helpful and practical advice. Like, Ada, what you're talking about is being able to do the breathing, and I think by doing so, you're actually psyching yourself to be more confident and not shy. And Nacho, what you're talking about is knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses and learning how to navigate all that. You know, for students, I think it's important that you just be aware. You be aware of these things so that you can figure out how to approach studying and how to approach your exams. You know, I just want to also say that there's a few people that we have in the chat. Ditya, thank you so much for being here. We're gonna ask a couple of questions. If you guys have any questions for Ada and Nacho, please let me know in the chat. And you know, the last things that I want to talk on. Oh, and Noor every day is here as well. Thank you so much for being here. Alex and Padmini, thank you so much for being here. Queen's Corner, who's another Study With Me streamer. Noir Every Day, who's a Study With Me streamer. You guys should all connect. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Noir Every Day. Oh, and by the way, actually, Padmini is also a new Study With Me streamer, and so is Alex Plays. So we got Study With Me streamers on right now. And I do want to mention something. Ahmed20X is in the chat and said, if I can bring that up on the screen, I think there is something wrong. You offer unique things. Why subscribers and viewers are not much? Meaning, like, you guys have such great sound advice, you know, such really helpful and practical tips. So our goal should be to get you guys more subscribers so that they can hear the same types of things.
Well, thank you.
That you guys are saying here on this podcast. I think you guys offer wonderful practical advice. And my goal is to also just kind of help you and support you along the way. So I did have one more question, just one more. What is kind of the plan for your Study With Me channel? What is the approach that you're going to be taking for the next or for the future? And if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Me? Okay. Yeah. Well, Nacho has already finished all his exams, and now he's working on his thesis. And I have 3 more exams, and I am working with my thesis as well. And we are thinking about upgrading the channel in a future, not so soon, but in a near future. And talk a little bit more about maybe engineering enterprises, things here in Europe, how they work, how they, I mean, to maybe go to industries, interview someone there, see how things are in the more in the job world. Rather than as students. Maybe we could do work with me, not only study with me, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think we would like to do, but not now, because we are, like, as you said, we are starting with the Study With Me channel, and we would like to, I mean, I think we have many things to say yet, that we want to say to students before upgrading to young and neolaureatico, as we say here in Italy, new graduates. So that would be in the future.
Also, we use the Study With Me also to help us. I mean, we are not doing Study with me for, I don't know, from the point of view like we are teaching someone. It's like we teach what we know and we learn what other knows.
I love that.
So we are also students and we are in the same position as everybody. So that's how I like to see myself here in this situation. So well, that's the approach I also see in this Study With Me, to learn also what people has to teach us. So
yeah, I'm very similar to both of you, I think, in that regard. I may be an educator, but I don't know everything. I mean, I've told you quite frequently, actually, throughout the interview that I'm just not a good student, to be honest. I was really a bad student, and in some ways, I'm still kind of bad. But the goal is to learn from others, you know. And I think you both have a wonderful and humble approach, and I really, really want to thank you both so much. I think you're both wonderful people. and you have wonderful things to say. And I definitely hope that in the future, you and I can definitely do more collaborations, more videos, more podcasts,
That would be
broadcasts,
great.
things like that. I would love to help you, come alongside you, and support you in the best way I can. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. And before we head out, I want to mention. By the way, if you guys have anything else that you want to say, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I will. I want to say hello to everybody that's watching us, and also thank you for being here. So,
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Paximus, a lot.
Yeah.
And we are feeling really comfortable. You are great.
Oh, thank
We wish you good luck also with the podcast. And I think this is going to change many people's or many
Yes.
students' lives. Yeah.
And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope so. And guys, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are such wonderful people. I mean, when I was talking in the intro, I was like, I just can't contain it. I'm so excited to meet you guys, and you guys seem like just wonderful people. So thank you so much, guys. And for those of you who are in the chat, I want to thank you as well. And Robin, thank you so much for being here as well. And Padmini did say, let's see, forgot to ask, any tips for small streamers? Oh, okay. So Padmini, actually, before we go, sorry, Padmini does have a question, and it's, I forgot to ask, do you have any tips for small streamers on how to do like a study with me channel? Like, do you have any tips?
Well, we are very small streamers.
I'm more in charge of maybe the technical things or maybe the ambience of the. And what we found also very interesting is that you don't have to have like a background, like a professional background or something very complicated. It's just you have to show like your ambience, your place, and to show like a very genuine I don't know, image of yourself. You don't have to be like, you have to be yourself, comfortable. So that's the first thing I will aim for, to be comfortable and to be like in a real place, not to make something very
complicated, that you cannot follow, that you put yourself in an uncomfortable position. That's a big no. Right. And also maybe if you have the possibility of having a good camera and a good microphone, if that's a possibility for you, that's very important.
Well, we as a camera right now we are using our cell phone. I think it's a very good choice. You have plenty of videos. You can use like a little program to connect your cell phone as a video camera, and a microphone. We bought a microphone that costs like, I don't know, 10 euros. So it's not something that is very expensive.
And something that we learned because we were like, at the beginning we were speaking only in Spanish because but then we realized that we were missing lots of opportunities. For example, I don't know if we would have done this beautiful interview if we were still speaking in Spanish. So I would have advised you to grow a channel in English. That would be my advice, because we struggled a lot with the Spanish. And I think that people that is in the study with me world, or students in general, know English. So even though if you are in another country, you can use English, and I think things are going to be easier. Our channel started to grow when we changed to English. So those, I think, are our advices.
Also try not to be camera shy. I think people likes to see who is behind the camera. So if you can, I know, show your face and be your, because people wants to study with you, with someone. So I would encourage people to not be camera shy, because I was a very camera shy guy.
You was?
Yeah. Well, I'm dealing with it. Yeah, I'm learning. But I would say it's not as that bad, as bad as it may sound. So try new things, enjoy, because it's a game. Enjoy, and also, I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I would have to agree with you, just to kind of cap our time there. But I would have to agree, like, sometimes it's scary for some people to, like, go out into the YouTube world, because that does bring some pressure. But at the same time, if you feel confident enough to go on YouTube, like, people want to get to know you, especially on a Study With Me stream. It should be something where you're able to build a connection with people. And I mean, to be honest, from my perspective, I personally love this. I mean, I would love to be in person with you guys, but for now, this is a good way to keep a relationship, a friendship with other people, because that's really what it's about. It's not about you studying and then just going off after you're done studying. It should be, in my opinion, about this: communicating, getting to know, getting to learn from one another. I think is the best approach. So I would definitely agree with you, Nacho, in that case. If you guys are camera shy, try little by little to you can show your keyboard or your desk, and then just over time, if you need to kind of grow into it, just start showing, like, your head, your
forearm.
this
the
this
frame
part of your hand.
Like...
Just
your eyes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Ada and Nacho, don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you guys in just a second. For the rest of you, thank you guys so much for being here. I think you know what time it is. And so anyways, I had a wonderful conversation with you guys, Ada and Nacho. You guys are just amazing people. For those of you who are in the chat, thank you so much for being here and spending some time out of your day to be here with us. I would love to just let you know that in the description below is all of Ada and Nacho's information, where you can subscribe to their channel, go to their Instagram, and all the information that you need is available to you. And this was so I love this conversation that we were able to have, guys. I'm definitely going to have you guys back. We could talk about some other topics, but in the meantime, remember, be kind and rewind. Have a wonderful night. Hadouken!